Right, welcome back. Now, before we go into that conversation around the Finance Bill 2023, we want to have a look at what was happening today. Now, Deloitte Kenya today has had an analysis forum to discuss the wins and losses of the Finance Bill 2023. Nyakundi Kelvin now joins us with more insights. Good afternoon, Nyakundi.
Good afternoon, Jimmy. The finance bill was tabled last week, and we have had various discussions of this, the tax measures that have been put in place. And today, Deloitte has had an analysis forum where they were looking at some of the things that have been proposed in the Finance Bill 2023. And joining me is Fred Omondi, who is Deloitte East Africa Tax and Legal Leader. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now looking at the Finance Bill, let us look at some of the wins, first of all, the wins and losses. But let us start with the wins. From where you sit, what are some of the wins that have come out of this?
Thank you. So in terms of the wins, I think the key one is for consumers of LPG. The LPG, VAT on LPG is now exempt. So that should ideally translate into lower costs for LPG. And then there's been a reduction of excise duty on bank charges, and also a reduction of excise duty on telephone and internet services. So ideally, that should translate into cheaper internet services if that reduction is passed on to the consumers. Yeah.
And also the losses. Let us look at the losses also from the finance bill.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the losses are quite many, and the key one is, of course, for those earning incomes of 500,000 shillings a month. There is now a higher tax rate of 35%. So that should translate into reduction in their net income. We've also seen new levies that are being introduced, basically the National Housing Development Fund contribution towards that, which will be 3%, which will be deducted from salaried individuals. We've also seen for the small traders, there's an increment in the turnover tax from 1% to 3%, which is, quite significant, being a threefold increment. So that would translate into more tax or higher taxes for the smaller traders. And then for everybody, literally, both businesses and the ordinary mwananchi, the price of fuel is likely to go up because VAT on petroleum products goes up from 8% to 16%, and that would translate into higher transport costs, higher costs of inputs for those who use fuel to run their generators and so forth.
We've seen the band that has been restructured from 1 million to 50 million band. Now it is 500,000 to 15 million. So what is the impact on small businesses?
So it means those whose revenue is above 15 million will now fall into the normal, income tax computation, which means they have to prepare their financial statements and then compute their income, whether it's a gain or a loss. If they have a taxable income, then they pay tax on that at the normal rate. If it's a company, 30%. If it's an individual, at the graduated rates. So it means fewer traders or fewer smaller companies will be qualifying for the turnover tax, which was meant to be, a simpler form to enhance compliance, especially on what we call the informal sector.
To another issue, the stability of our tax systems, because now we've seen the proposals that are being made. Some have come which are very new, and some have the percentage has been increased. Now LPG has been scrapped off. Now, what is the sustainability of our tax systems?
So the main issue that comes up is that there are so many constant or frequent changes in our tax, regulations or tax laws, which does not provide, predictability or a stable environment for all taxpayers, whether it's companies or individuals. So what has been proposed is that under the national tax policy, which is still in draft form, is that ideally we shouldn't have these regular changes in tax legislation where every year the rates are revised, whether up or down, it doesn't matter. Still, if it's so unpredictable, then it becomes difficult to plan because both individuals and businesses plan.
The House has given 20th of this month as the deadline for the public memorandum. So what needs to happen in order for us at least to see by the time the Finance Act comes out that some things have just been at least maybe reduced in order for Kenyans to feel a little bit more cushioned?
Yeah, good point. So I think public participation is now mandated under the Constitution, but what we are asking is that it should be genuine, it should be real public participation, because what tends to happen is sometimes there'll be contribution or submissions from the members of the public, but you find maybe 99% of it is ignored, and what you end up with is still what you started with. So we are hoping that there'll be genuine, participation, and that the Parliament and the Treasury will take into account the real concerns that are being raised by the stakeholders. So we need to look at how we can spur investment, how we can spur job creation, how we can spur even consumption, by giving more income, leaving more income into the hands of the individuals. Then that way you can, build the economy, let it grow at a faster rate. As the economy grows, you're able to generate more tax. But as long as we are not doing that, then we'll keep going back to the same taxpayers who are hard-pressed to ask them to give more.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fred. Jimmy, there you have it. This is all that we've been discussing today. Back to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much, Nakundi. And of course, that is a conversation that we want to move forward this afternoon. My guest is already here. James Mulili is a tax director at